Hello, good to
What impact has the King's diagnosis? I mean, we don't know that the King has got prostate cancer. We know he had an enlarged prostate, but nevertheless, has it all had an impact on men being more aware of their prostate, more aware of what to look out for with any problems?
Oh, absolutely. We saw a 500% increase in the number of people visiting our websites, and you're quite right. This wasn't a prostate cancer diagnosis, but what happened when the King shared his story is that this was a men's health story, right? This is something that people don't often talk about, a prostate health story, and it just allowed us to talk about prostate health along with prostate cancer awareness. Because, of course, I think a lot of the public, or that we know, assume that men will be invited for some sort of test for prostate cancer, but we don't yet have a prostate cancer screening program. So having a platform like this allowed us to talk about prostate cancer awareness, whilst also reassuring men that have enlarged prostates that this is a very treatable condition.
And it is important, isn't it, to raise awareness, because prostate cancer, I believe, is the most common cancer among men.
Well, both actually. It's been the most common cancer in men for quite some time, but actually just this year, prostate cancer has now surpassed breast cancer in terms of the most commonly diagnosed cancer across men and women. And this is a big deal. This is a cancer that often starts without symptoms. It's a cancer for which we don't yet have a screening program, and it's a cancer where the GP guidelines are incredibly confusing, not just for men, but also for GPs. So we're trying desperately hard to get the GP guidelines changed. We need to change those rules so that GPs can talk to men about prostate cancer, and we need to continue to fund the research where we're funding a wonderful clinical trial called the Transform trial, which will get us to a screening programme, hopefully for all men. But in the meantime, we really, really hope that the National Screening Committee this year will give us a recommendation to screen for men at what we call highest risk. Men with a family history, like Sir Chris Hoy, and also black men. These men have 2, 3, sometimes 4 times the risk of other men. So there's lots of stuff happening in the world of prostate cancer this year. And we really, really hope that we'll hear something soon from both government to change the rules, but also from the National Screening Committee.
How can we be in a position, Chiara, where, as you say, it's such a big problem for men, it's such a big killer, we don't talk enough about it, and yet when we spoke to someone from Prostate Cancer UK a few months ago, and they said anyone over 50 can be tested. So I dutifully went off to the GP and said, I'd like a blood test, please, and I believe I'm eligible. What a battle I had to get that test. They did not want to do it at all.
Yeah, you're quite right. And I have a wonderful team of specialist nurses. We have a nurse helpline. And every week we hear from men in exactly the same position that they do our online risk checker. So we have a Prostate Cancer UK risk checker, just takes 30 seconds, where men can understand their risk and understand what they can do. And importantly, you've just made a really good point. The first test of a prostate cancer journey is a blood test. I often think there's lots of myths and misinformation around men's health, and particularly around prostate cancer. And a lot of men assume it's a more intimate type of examination, but actually that first test is a blood test. But they're the rules that we want to change. At the moment, GPs can't have a proactive conversation about prostate cancer, which is just such a silly place for us to be in. We want GPs who have a high-risk man in front of them to be able to say, would you like to talk about the blood test? It's not perfect. It's certainly not a test for prostate cancer, but it is the best test that we've got right now that can give us an indication if that gentleman needs further tests, further investigations as to whether he has prostate cancer. The earlier we find prostate cancer, the easier it is to treat.
Okay, Chiara Diase, really good to see you this morning. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
And it is one of those things, it's only a blood test, that initial, as Chiara was saying, that initial check, but it's a battle.
So bad, I didn't realise that had happened. So you'd gone in, asked for it, and they weren't very willing to give it to you.
No, I had to really push for it. And it's only because we talked to someone on here saying, oh, you are eligible when you're over 50. So I thought, well, I might as well go and have it checked. But, you know...
Well, good for you.
But honestly, it just isn't that easy. And when it's such a big problem for men in this country, we all know someone, don't we? We all know someone who gets to a certain age and then say, oh, well, yeah, they've got problem with their prostate or
Yeah.
whatever.
So common, unfortunately.
And yet it's not that easy to get checked.
Well, hopefully we get, as Chiara was saying there, a national screening programme.
Have you been getting a load of spam in your email recently? What about random calls? It's really annoying, isn't it? Data brokers are out there collecting your personal information. Anything from your email, your full name, your address, and even your political affiliation. Cyber criminals can even use AI to mimic the voices of friends and family to trick people into sending them money. And it gets even worse. People out there are getting huge loans taken out in their names without even knowing about it. But don't worry, because the sponsor of this video, Incogni, can help. They reach out to the data brokers on your behalf and request that your information is removed from their databases. Incogni continues to make sure that your data is removed automatically from the internet via repeated removal requests. So, how can you get started? Well, step 1, hit the link in the description, create an Incogni account and tell us whose data you'd like removed. Step 2, grant Incogni the right to work on your behalf. Step 3, sit back, relax and watch Incogni work. They will update consistently so you know when your data has been removed. Incogni is risk-free for 30 days, so you can try it for yourself and you'll get a free refund if the service isn't for you. So take back your personal data today with Incogni. Use the code GBNews using the link in the description below and you'll get 60% off an annual payment plan.
And I don't know about you, but I can't remember a message from the King that has been as personal as this one.
Yeah, it was incredibly personal, Ellie, but also he made it about not just himself, but the 390,000 other people in the United Kingdom who are diagnosed with cancer every single year. It was a very poignant reception inside Buckingham Palace last night, a surprise appearance actually from Sarah, Duchess of York, who herself has been diagnosed with 2 separate forms of cancer in her time. Their Majesty is also joined by a number of celebrities and who have been diagnosed with cancer over the years, but also specialist doctors, nurses and of course cancer charities who support patients and their families through such a diagnosis. And as you were alluding to there, the King penned this personal letter given to each of the guests last night where he speaks about how frightening it can be, the frightening experience for both individuals and loved ones diagnosed with this disease, and of course concedes that he is among those statistics himself. His Majesty says, "I can vouch for the fact that it can also be an experience that brings into sharp focus the very best of humanity, speaking about the community of care that goes with the cancer treatments, from the volunteers who hold a patient's hand to the nurses, the doctors, and of course charities that support the families as well." But I think the most perhaps emotional bit for His Majesty was meeting the parents of the late broadcaster Dame Deborah James, who died of bowel cancer back in 2022, leaving behind 2 incredibly young children. And he had quite a long conversation with them, and he actually mentions Dame Deborah in his message. His Majesty says, "Those who may be receiving such upsetting news today, tomorrow, or at any point in the future, I can only echo the departing words of the late Dame Deborah James, whose example stands as an inspiration to us all in sickness and in health." And Dame Deborah's words were, "Find a life worth enjoying, take risks, love deeply, have no regrets, and always, always have rebellious hope." Now, of course, we know the King is continuing his own weekly cycle of cancer treatments. Royal sources indicate that that is going in a positive direction. But of course, it is a reminder, isn't it, that the King is our head of state and he is still living with cancer, and he is 76 years old. But as I said, royal sources are insistent that that treatment's going in a positive direction.